Joe, you've attended today's show, the Racism, the Red Card event this afternoon, and answered questions from school children about racism and hate crime. How important do you think events like today's are?
I think it's key because you got a lot of young kids growing up, and then they look up to everybody, the professional athletes or CEOs or teachers and everybody. And I think we have to set the right example to them and teach them early that there's no way for people to be racist to another person. So I think we have to cut it out early, and putting things like this together obviously gets the framework and obviously get people's attention on the issue and show them that it's very important, and we have to obviously do something about it early and get it out of the game.
Yeah, education's key, isn't it? Because looking at other cultures, perhaps that lack of education and that ignorance sort of breeds racism.
Yeah, it does, because people are not they're not born with it. They get taught or they see people do it. So I think the more we talk about it and the more we make people aware of what it causes and emotional trauma it causes people and fellow person, we just need to stop that early doors. So I think it's not something that we can ignore for sure. I think everybody needs to come together and work together to obviously get it over and done with and to do something about it early.
Looking at the modern era, I guess social media is kind of a problem for things like that as well, because it gives people that perhaps have got negative opinions, it gives them a voice, doesn't it?
It does, because you can't get away from it now because of social media. Everybody's got a voice now, and back in the day you couldn't really interact with footballers or celebrities as much as you can now. So now it's a different age and everybody's got obviously a platform to speak on, and I think it's best if you control that kind of platform and you share something positive instead of negative, because everybody can log on, every child or adult has got a phone now and they can see everything. So if it's positivity, you can spread it quickly. If it's negativity, you can spread as well. So I think we need to use the social media platform a lot better than we are at the moment.
Looking at recent events, particularly in football, Raheem Sterling, the England players in Bulgaria recently, Mario Balotelli in Syria as well, what action should be taken to stop professional footballers and other people suffering from racist abuse just by doing their job that they're doing?
I think a good kind of harsh punishment is probably the best, because you need to make people aware that it's unacceptable. And if you keep giving punishment that is acceptable and they don't feel any sort of don't feel bad about it and they can just pay fines and get away with it, I think they can just continue doing it because it doesn't cost them anything. So I think a harsher punishment will be the best way to obviously tackle it and expose the people doing it, to the world to see, so that they can be judged on what they're doing, because it's not right. And I think everybody needs to know people doing it and use the platform to say this person's doing that and that's not the right thing to do, and we show everybody the right thing to do by exposing them really that this the negativity that they're spreading, and we need to stop it.
In the FA Cup recently, I think a player for Haringey Borough in a non-league suffered racist abuse from the Yeovil Town fans, and as a result the game was abandoned and rescheduled. Do you think that's a positive thing to do from Haringey's perspective?
For me it's positive, but at the same time it's unfair for obviously the other fans that are not taking part in it, because it's just individuals, a handful that are doing it, and there's many more fans watching the game. So it's unfair on the others, but I can see what they're doing, and it's the kind of thing we need in the game to obviously raise attention to the problem that we have. So it works both ways, but in my opinion it's the right way to go about it, because we've been doing the same stuff for maybe years now and nothing's worked. So I think I'm open to something like that, and I think it's the best way to obviously get attention of the individuals coming into stadiums and abusing players or fans as well.
Yeah, it's just about that big statement, isn't it, to just turn people's heads and for people to realise that this has got to stop immediately.
Yeah, I think it just tells people it's unacceptable, and if you enjoy watching football that much, are you willing to follow or support the cause of trying to stop these individuals, and I think it will raise a lot of attention, because if people back obviously the football community, the players and FIFA and everybody involved in football to stop these individuals, I think it makes it easier, you know. And I think we have to do it the harsh way at first, because we've tried everything and it's not working, because this year has been the worst it's been for a while. So I think doing this is probably the best thing right now for us to obviously explore new strategies to stopping it, and I think we should stick to it. But at the same time, it's unfair on other individuals that come in and do everything the right way.
Whilst you've been on the football field, is racism or hate crime something that you've seen or experienced?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. But it's difficult in a game, because you have to try and not let your emotions get hold of you, you know, and you have to try and concentrate on the game. But it's something that is, for me, is unacceptable. It's not right in 2019 to have to deal with things like this. So for me, I never really, in a game, I turn a blind eye to it, but I always come back to it. As long as we can obviously show the individual that it's unacceptable and point them out or report them to the officials or maybe some staff members and get him or her dealt with, I think it's the right way going forward.
You say obviously you've had to turn a blind eye to it whilst you've been focusing on your job at hand and playing football. Is that difficult to do when you're on the pitch and you've perhaps heard something that you're really not pleased about?
Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day, you're a human being as well. You know, you're playing football, but nobody shouldn't have to go through that. You shouldn't have to go through that at all. You know, even if it's an opponent that's going through somebody from my team, or doing that. Put football aside, there's no way for it. That should not happen at all in football, in my opinion. It's a game where everybody comes and enjoy it. Makes fans happy, the players happy, and everybody in the world happy. So it's something that it's entertainment for everybody, and hate should not be in there at all.
Just finally, Joe, how do you think the situation can be improved going forward? Because even in this country, it's clear that there's a lot of work still to be done.
I think going forward, we have to expose the individuals doing it, ban them from stadiums, and there has to be a harsher punishment, in my opinion, because nothing's worked over the years, and the way for us to stop all that is to have a harsher punishment and make sure we protect the kids who come to the games and are watching, because we don't want them to follow them, because we just go through generation on generations where it's just everything's repeating themselves. So I think we have to punish the individuals harshly, and then can enjoy the game we all love, really.